The conflict with Iran is escalating, and fast. The whole world is watching. So in this breakdown, we're going to cut right through the noise to give you the first 3 critical days. What happened on the ground, the war of words, and the huge economic shock that's already hitting the global energy supply. Let's get right into it.
To really get how serious this is, we have to start with this one line from US President Donald Trump. He said, "The big one hasn't happened yet." Now, what does that really mean? Well, it tells us 2 pretty crucial things. First, that Washington thinks its response so far has actually been pretty restrained. And second, it's a clear signal that a much bigger military action could be right around the corner.
And what we've seen already is a conflict that is spilling way beyond its initial borders. I mean, Iran's retaliation hasn't just hit Israel, it's also hit Gulf countries that host US troops, and that's causing some major disruption. So let's break down the key military events from these first 72 hours.
The speed of this escalation has been just incredible. After the first strikes on day 1, Iran claimed on day 2 that it had targeted US naval ships. But day 3, that's when this whole thing truly went regional. We saw direct military action in the airspace of neighboring Gulf states, and that was a massive turning point.
Okay, so this is where things get really intense. We have 2 confirmed and very different military events. First, Qatar officially jumped into the fight. Its Ministry of Defense announced it shot down 2 Iranian Su-24 fighter jets. That's a first for this conflict. But then there's the second event, and it's just as big, a friendly fire incident. Kuwaiti Air Defense accidentally shot down 3 American F-15E jets. Now, US Central Command did confirm all 6 crew members ejected safely, thank goodness. But it just goes to show you how chaotic the situation is on the ground.
And that chaos, well, it brings us to a really crucial point. In any modern war, the information war is just as real as the shooting war. It is absolutely critical to separate what we know has happened from all the unverified claims that are flying around just as fast as the missiles.
So the big question for all of us becomes, how do we navigate this fog of war? I mean, both sides are making these huge declarations, and so many of them are incredibly difficult, if not totally impossible, to check out for ourselves.
And this table right here just shows you the challenge perfectly. You've got Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, claiming it hit Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's office. Then the IRGC also claimed it hit a US aircraft carrier, which the US military immediately and flatly denied. And then in a really bizarre twist, Iran's own representative to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, claimed the Natanz nuclear facility got hit, only for the head of the IAEA himself to come out and say, no, that didn't happen.
Now, leaving the battlefield for a moment, the most immediate global impact has been a severe shock to the energy supply chain. The ripple effects from these attacks in the region are already being felt all over the world.
The situation is, to put it mildly, pretty stark. Key energy infrastructure all across the Middle East has either been hit or forced to shut down just as a precaution. This is bringing a huge chunk of the region's energy output to a screeching halt.
Let's just look at the specifics here. Qatar Energy, a huge player, has stopped all of its LNG production. Saudi Arabia shut down its biggest Aramco refinery. Oil production in Iraqi Kurdistan is pretty much suspended. And over in Israel, disruptions to natural gas are hitting their exports. I mean, any one of these is a major blow to the global supply. You put them all together, and you've got a crisis.
And to really put that Qatar shutdown into perspective, just look at this chart. Right alongside the US and Russia, Qatar is one of the top 3 LNG producers on the entire planet. Remember, a lot of European countries moved away from Russian gas and signed new deals with Qatar to fill that gap. Well, right now, that supply is offline. So, with the stakes this incredibly high, what exactly is the United States' strategy here? Let's take a look at what Washington says its goals are for this military operation.
The US Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, laid out what he called clear, devastating, and decisive objectives. He gave 3 main military goals. 1, destroy Iran's missile threat. 2, neutralize its navy. And 3, permanently stop Iran from ever getting a nuclear weapon.
But when it comes to the political goals, the US messaging is, well, it's a lot less clear. In the very same press conference, Secretary Hegseth said, and I quote, "This is not a regime change war." But then, just a few moments later, he added this: "The regime has certainly changed, and the world has become a better place with it." That contradiction really leaves the ultimate goal of the US completely open to interpretation. When reporters pressed him on whether U.S. troops were on the ground, Hegseth just refused to comment. But while those political goals might be a bit murky, the military objective was hammered home with his final, very clear statement: "We are fighting to win."
So, all of this brings us to the most critical question of all. What happens now? It really feels like the international community is at a crossroads, caught between these urgent calls for a diplomatic solution on one side and signs of even bigger military escalation on the other.
So on one side, you have some really powerful voices pushing hard for peace. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was totally clear, saying diplomacy is the only lasting solution. And even Qatar, which has now been dragged right into the fighting, said through its foreign ministry that even though they had to retaliate, this whole crisis ultimately has to be solved at the negotiating table.
But, weighing against all those calls for diplomacy, we come full circle, right back to the words of the US president, and that one sentence suggests that the path of escalation isn't just possible, it might be coming very soon.
And so, the world just watches and waits, holding its breath. Are the calls for negotiation going to win out, or is the region standing on the brink of an even wider, more devastating conflict? That is the question that's hanging over everything right now.
This situation is changing by the hour. For ongoing, clear-headed analysis, make sure you subscribe to Global Conflict Brief. Thanks for watching.